Hello, everybody. This is Adam, the Mr. Bug Guy. Originally, I was the VW Bug Guy, but somehow or another, I couldn't get back in to change phones and couldn't get into my YouTube account, so I had to make another one. And it was Bug Guy. And somebody on Slade's VW community said, I can't find it. Post a link because I put in Bug Guy and there was some guy eating bugs. Ain't nobody want to see that. But anyway, so I changed the name to Mr. Bug Guy. So now today I want to talk about contractors, Volkswagens, and life. You're probably thinking, what does any of that got to do with each other? Well, I'm glad you're thinking that, because I'm about to tell you. So, I am an electrical contractor. That's what I do. I'm an electrician for a local school system, and I have my home business on the side. So, there's three of us that work together. Well, sometimes four. Well, okay, 3.5, whatever. So, one of the guys got in touch with somebody who used to be our supervisor at work, because the three of us work together at local school system in the facilities department, facilities, maintenance, necessary evil department, whatever you want to call it. So, called up and said, I know this lady that owns a local restaurant. She's having some problems. Said, so she had this building. She had this shop. She closed in and made like a studio apartment out of it for her daughter. It's probably, I don't know. If I had to guess, I'd say 800 square feet. I don't know. We'll say 800 square feet. Might be 1,000. I don't know. I didn't measure it because I don't care. So she had some guys come in there, some electricians. They got in there and they wired the place. And they got some other people that plumbed the place. And she rolled up one day, and the electricians, or supposedly electricians, they were out there in the driveway smoking Lucifer's lettuce. So she ran them off. So she said, I need somebody to finish this thing. So we thought all we have to do is we got to go in there and trim it out. Well, trimming out means switches, receptacles, plates, light fixtures, breakers, so on and so forth. So we get in there, and we done opened up a can of worms. We went in there, and the three of us just wanted to get in the truck and just walk away. Just get in our trucks and just leave, just walk away. It was bad. The more we found, the worse it got. So she said, come up to the restaurant for lunch, and we knocked off. We said, we can't. No. And one of the guys, there was no access in the attic, but yet there was supposed to be an access in the attic, so we made one. And I'm going to get the Volkswagens in a minute. So please entertain me for just a minute, because this is going to be good. So I hope. So anyway, we cut a hole up in the ceiling because we had to get in there. So one of the guys got up there and poked his head through. Said, Adam, you ain't gonna believe this. And I looked at the other guy. I said, this ain't good. So I got up there and it was a mess. So we went down there and we said, look, we're gonna have to, sheetrock's gonna have to come off. We're gonna have to do some digging. We got to fix this, because if we hook it up like it is, the place is gonna burn down. You won't need a fire extinguisher. You probably will need a bag of marshmallows and a clothes hanger. So we went, that was last Saturday. Went back this Saturday, we got in there, and our sheetrock guy said, call the sheetrock guy, he'll take sheetrock off. Well, he called one of the guys that works for me, and I look at it this way, I'm the boss, but until the crap hits the fan, we're equal. So drywall guy said, I don't want to pull all of it off. Just go ahead and take off what you need. And I'm going to attempt to edit this before I load it up and see if I can get some of these pictures. So, well, as an example, the walls look like Swiss cheese. We was taking sheetrock off left and right. We traced every wire out to make sure it was correct. We found 12-2 Romex, which is 20 amp wire, tied to 14-2 Romex, which is 15 amp wire. You can't do that. We found wires that didn't go to anywhere that were hooked up to a breaker. It was not good. So we got all that fixed. In 5.5 hours? So anyway, we got it fixed. Mr. Drywall guy's got to come back and put drywall on it. Well, I asked her, I said, do you even know who did this? She said, no. She said, they were Hispanics, and somebody that I know said, use these guys. They do my work. I feel sorry for this guy. And so they knew some people that did plumbing. They were Hispanics. Well, she had to call a plumber in. The plumber had to redo everything. The hot and cold were reversed. There wasn't enough fall on the drains. The shower drain, the fall was going in the opposite direction. So the plumber had to tear all the sheetrock out. Mr. Drywall guy had to come in, patch all the sheetrock, had to redo it. Then he come in. I said, how much did they charge you for this? And last Saturday, she said, I'm in the hole 15 grand. And today was about another grand. So what I'm saying is, if you're gonna have work done, if you're not offending a legitimate contractor to come in, or you're not offending a legitimate contractor to get references, you're not. Don't be afraid to look them up. Whatever contractor it is, look up on the state board. See if they're licensed. See if they're bonded. If you offend them, then that right there tells y'all you need to know. Right there. So, get references. Make sure they're licensed. Make sure they're insured. And make sure they're bonded. So you're not going to offend anybody. Because if you get some fly-by-night people in there, then it doesn't hurt to get contracts. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. If they give me money up front, I sign a contract that protects both of us. Because I'm an honest guy. So it doesn't hurt to do that. Or if you want to do it yourself, that's okay. But find somebody who will give you advice. Case in point, a friend of mine, he lives in the land of the snow and the cold. Well, it's not cold right now where he's at, but I bet it's cooler than what it is here. It's been in the 90s and humid. And right now, I am sweating like crazy. And I don't even know what temperature it is. I didn't look on the thermometer. Doesn't matter. I can tell you what, it's hot and it's humid. So, we were talking. He called me up and he said, what do I need to do? So I rattled off a bunch of stuff. I've got October, it'll be 39 years of experience. I don't know. And I still don't know everything. But they called me because he was going to do some electrical work. So I told him what I needed to do. And he said he looked online and people were bickering and arguing with each other and said, no, you don't do this. No, you don't do this. I said, yeah. I said, I'll be on I'm on some electricians groups and Volkswagen groups. And people come up with some of these questions and people answer and you got people bickering back and forth. And then my wife come in there and said, what's wrong? I said, these people are idiots. And that's what I told him. So I gave him advice. I said, you call me anytime. I said, look, if you're going to do it yourself, call somebody. If you got a friend that does electrical work, but, he's a good friend, but say, hey, I want him to do my electrical work, but I just don't think he's up to snuff. Then don't use him. because I used to have a shirt one time. I wore it so much I wore it out. My wife got it for me. On the back it said, "If you think a good electrician is expensive, try hiring a bad one or a cheap one or something to that effect, because it will cost you in the long run." This woman, $15,000 in the hole. That includes the original price plus paying it to have it fixed. Well, there's no need to go through that. We found so much stuff wrong with this wiring. And, it was a sub panel in this little suite. And the sub panel, the ground and neutral were bonded. You're not supposed to do that on a sub panel. And a lot of you probably don't understand that. That's okay. Just know that you're not supposed to do that. And by what I say by being bonded, every panel comes with this big green screw. And it bonds the neutral through to the can of the panel. If it is a sub panel, do not put in the big green screw. So, now let's move to Volkswagens. Same rule applies. If you got somebody doing work on your Volkswagen, make sure they're reputable. Check their references. Check the reviews. Check all this stuff. You don't want some chucklehead messing with your house, whether it be plumbing, electrical, carpentry, whatever. You don't want some chucklehead or some jackwagon working on your Volkswagen or doing work. Be careful who you get advice for. And that's why some of us do these things. That's why we have YouTube channels about Volkswagens. We don't know everything. And we learn stuff from other people. I learn stuff from other people. Hopefully people learn stuff from me. Maybe not. Maybe they say, this guy's got some decent stuff, but he's a jackwagon. That's okay. I'm good with it. So, but, we all learn from each other. Nobody knows everything. If you know everything, you're going to be lonely. And you're going to be out of work because nobody can afford to pay you, and you ain't going to have any friends because you know it all. So, there you go. And if you do it yourself, do your research. Talk to people. Go online. Look at stuff. Case in point. Well, my engine over here, y'all have seen it. I recently did a video about crankcase venting. Everybody's got their opinions. I don't say mine is the right way. I just tell you some facts, and I give you my opinion. This is what I do. Y'all do what you want to. It's okay. If you tell me 1 + 1 is 5, okay, knock yourself out. Because I'm at the age now, I ain't going to argue with you. I don't want to argue with you. I'm too tired. Life's too short to be arguing. I'm old. Not really, I'm 57. But anyway, compared to 20-year-olds, I'm old. So, make sure you do that. Case in point, like I was saying, I got sidetracked. Let's get back on the track. So, carburation. This engine was built in the 80s. Okay. Seems that people in the 80s that had big cams, they liked the progressive 2-barrels for some reason. And mine had a Holley 5200 on it, but they did not have linkage. They had this crazy linkage that you put the cable in there and they had 2 little set screws, and it didn't work very well. I like the stock setup. And there's some carburetors out there that does have the stock setup. 2 barrels, the MPs and I think some Webers have it, and it's all kind of stuff. And then you got the 2-barrel crossover, and they look cool. I spent like 2 years or 3 years researching carburetors, how they function on the engine, the pros and the cons, and all of this other stuff. I did a lot of research, and then I said, okay, I need to find out exactly. I knew what size engine I had, but I didn't know what size cam I had. So after 2 years, I pulled the oil pump out. Saw the type of cam I had. I said, oh, okay. So then I did more research. And that's when I found out that people with this particular cam shaft, which is AP3, they still make them, it's a long duration, not that much lift. So, it's gonna hit a lick. People say, oh, the person I got the engine from had 2-barrel on. This thing wasn't idle. Well, number one, they took it out of the box and bolted on. You can't do that. And if you buy carburetors from, J-Bug CIP1, whoever, Weber, whoever. And you get one for a Volkswagen and said, oh, this thing is jetted for a 1600. Doesn't matter whether you're wearing a 1600. Okay, they don't know your altitude. They don't know a lot of different things. They don't know your displacement. If it's over 1600, they don't know your altitude. A lot of things come into play here. And every engine's different. You can take 10 engines, line them up, everything's the same. Same specs, same parts, same everything. And you put the same carburetor on, you take that one carburetor, you put it on every engine. I guarantee you're going to have to make adjustments. Jet sizes, so on and so forth. They say, oh, it's tuned right out of the box. Just bolt it on. That is a lie. Don't believe it. So, you bolt it on, and you say, this thing runs like crap. They said it was going, all I had to do was bolt it on. Nah. 9 times out of 10, if the carburetor something's wrong with it, you can't send it back anyway. Don't be afraid to crack that sucker open. Do your homework. Do your research. So, find out what kind of cam I did. Then I did more research. Okay, what kind of carburation do I need? What is best for my setup? And that took weeks. And I decided on the dual Cadron. People love them. People hate them. People like 2-barrel setups. People hate them. I'm not against the 2-barrel setup. The single 2-barrel setup. Not against that. But you do have to make sure it's got heat. And then if you can run some heat from the exhaust down there, like the stock setup on a Volkswagen, the preheater hose that comes up to the air filter, then it likes that because it's got to have hot air. If my wife were out here, she'd say I'm full of hot air. But anyway, so my wife's a wonderful woman. I love Mary. Mary's her name. She's a great lady. And God bless her, she puts up with me. So anyway, so there's different things. People say, oh, you do this. Everybody's got an opinion on everything. I have an opinion on everything. I try to do my research. I've done a lot of research, and Gene Berg is a good source. Gene Berg, aircool.net is a good source for tech articles. Robin Dave's Aircool Pages, I think is the name of it. That is a good source of information. Do your research. Talk to people. See what their opinion is. You don't have to take it. A lot of people do a lot of things. Like oil coolers. They run an external oil cooler. No problem with that. A lot of people that run external air coolers, oil coolers, can't talk. External oil coolers, they delete the doghouse cooler and they put the adapter kit. When I got this engine, it had an adapter kit. I was not going to run an external oil cooler. I ran the doghouse cooler. Now, personally, if I were going to run an external oil cooler, I would still use a doghouse cooler. Gene Berg recommends that. I'm not doing it just because Gene Berg Enterprises recommends that. It's not like Gene Berg knows everything. I mean, he was a smart guy. Don't get me wrong. He was a mechanical engineer, went to Germany to go to Volkswagen school, learn how to work on these things. And he was a mechanic. He wasn't satisfied with being a mechanic. He wanted to manufacture his own parts, aftermarket parts that were as good as stock, had longevity. Should have took a breath. Anyway, so I personally would run the doghouse cooler with an external cooler. Neither one of my cars has an external cooler. A lot of people who build engines 1641, 1776, they do not put the sump on there. I recommend that if you're running a 1641 or 1776, you need a 1.5 sump. If you're running anything larger than a 1776, then you need to go with the 3/4 sump, 2/4 sump. I don't remember. It's larger than the 1.5 inch. That's what I can tell you. So, anyway, back to the oil coolers. And I've seen some people, and I saw somewhere, I don't know if they still make them, And got one of the car shows. I think I was at Fast Times at Farmington. Yeah. Yeah. He had a kit. It said, I forget who made it. It said a kit. It was a mountain kit where you can put the oil cooler in front of the air intake for the doghouse fan. Well, a lot of this stuff, it's all neat and great and wonderful and so on and so forth. But, if you put an external oil cooler in front of the air intake for the doghouse, what's that going to do? That is going to restrict your airflow. Personally, I won't do it. If you're running and you say, well, you don't know what you're talking about, that's fine. You do what you want to do. I'm not arguing with you. But this is just my opinion. Take it or leave it. So, anyway, I've seen a lot of people run these things. Matter of fact, when I get done with the 72, there's a guy at work. He teaches paint and body at CATA, and they got technical stuff, and then they got computers and drama and ballet and this and that and all this other stuff that I really don't care about. So, but he teaches paint and body. He was actually a mechanic for us at the shop. He worked on our vans, and then he just got fed up with all the BS. Oops, did I say that? And he got a teaching job. He teaches paint and body. He's a mechanic. He does paint and body work. He's got a rail buggy, a 4-seater rail buggy. And he can't finish it. He said, will you help me sell it? I said, sure, get me some pictures. And he never did. He said, you need to buy it. I said, dude, first of all, I got too many spark plugs. And I got a bug I ain't finished yet. He said, it'll be waiting on me. So I'm going to get this thing. Well, they've got the oil cooler sitting in front of the doghouse. When it's mine, I'm going to move it. It's a rail. What do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to move it up on the top rail up over the engine, so it's going to be catching some air. And hopefully it'll stay cool. So we'll see how that works out. But anyway, do your research on everything, even parts, even in some of these aftermarket parts. Do your homework. I've got a chrome pulley on my 1776 over here, and I was going to put the stock pulley on there, but somehow or another it got bent, it warped, and a lot of things got bent. But when they came back from the powder coater, I'm not saying it was his fault. I don't know, because I got them back, put them in a box, and that's where they stayed till I put them on. Anyway, it was warped. Not a problem. I had a scat alternator pulley on it. Chrome. Aftermarket. Put it on there. Looks good. Bad thing about chrome, in my opinion, is it looks good, but takes a lot of work to get clean, and chrome don't get you home. So, years ago, on my 73, Miss Grace, I bought an Impy. I was all about the bling. I had the chrome doghouse, I had the chrome tin, I had chrome this, chrome that, and I said, I'm going to get a chrome alternator pulley. It's awesome. So I bought an Impy. Impy's got some good stuff. Impy's got some not so good stuff. Everybody does. Wolfsburg West, they have OEM stuff. Some of their stuff is great. Most of their stuff is great. Some of their stuff is not that great. It happens. Not knocking anybody. Some stuff's good, some stuff's good not. It's not their fault. It's where they get it from. So, anyway, went to a car show. I said, dang, what's that noise? I opened up the back of it to clean it up. Thing done eat the inside of my pulley out. Wallered out the second half. Not the half that's on the alternator with the key, but the other part. Just that thing, bling, bling, bling. Another guy said, I heard it. I knew what it was. He helped me get it going. Got it going. I got an Impy billet aluminum. This thing is beefy. So he said, you got to get a longer belt because there's no shims. They do make shims. Impy makes shims for these billet aluminum alternator pulleys. I have had that pulley on there for several years. I don't know, 10, I don't know. Been a long time. Okay, let's leave it at that. Been a long time. So anyway, I mean, do your research on parts. Talk to people. Hey, have you ever used this thing? What do you think about it? Works pretty good. What do you think? You know, or you ask somebody else, what do you think about it? Junk. It's paperweight. Throw it in the garbage. You know, and I've heard people say that about 009 distributors, or some people call it the 09 distributor. Well, they say they, and I've heard a lot of people say they're junk. They will not work with a 34 pick 3. Well, actually, on my old page, which is still up, I just can't get into it. My old YouTube channel, it's VW Bug Guy. I did a thing about the 009 and 34 pick 3. You can make them work. I'm just saying, do your research. Be diligent. I spent 2 to 3 years on carburation. And my buddy was like, well, you make up your mind. First you was going with a single 2-barrel. Then you were going with a crossover 2-barrel. Then you were going with dual K-drums. Then you decided to go with dual 2-barrels. Make up your mind. I got K-drums. So I finally made up my mind. Some people like them, some people don't like them. With me, jury's still out. I'm fixing to find out. I need to get a starter, need to get a battery. I'm gonna tune this sucker up. So do your research, because if you just get somebody, you know, like electricians or contractors. I'm an electrician, so we'll talk about electricians. Just because somebody pissed on an electric fence when they were a kid does not make them an electrician. You know? So, same with Volkswagen mechanics. It's best to learn how to work on them yourself. It's not that hard. You get the tools and, you know, some specialty tools you need, depending on how far you're going to get into it. But, you know, if you get the, what's the name of that book? Volkswagen Engine for Dummies or something like, I forget what. The guy was a astrophysicist. He was a rocket science, and it's back in the 60s, and he's like, you know what, I just don't want to be a rocket scientist anymore. So John Muir was his name. He wrote this book. It's a very good book, and it shows you how to make your own tools. Some of the tools. You know, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. If you can learn how to do them yourself, that's the best way to be. You say, wow, well, I don't know nothing about this stuff. But you can learn. Get somebody you know that you trust and know something how to do it, and ask them to show you how to do some things. You know, watch YouTube channels. And, you know, so he wrote this book. And he never, I think I'm correct, he never owned a Volkswagen. But he wrote this book on how to maintain them and stuff, and he also shows you how to make tools. You know, you want to set the deck height, he shows you how to make a tool. You know, it's all in the book. I have the book. How to keep your Volkswagen engine running or something like that. I don't remember. Basically, Volkswagen engines for dummies or something. I don't know. That's basically what the book is. I've got the book and I can't even remember the name of it. What is wrong with me? How much time do you have? So anyway, you know, do your homework. Find somebody, you know, who can do it, because just because somebody changed a flat tire on a Volkswagen does not make them a Volkswagen mechanic. Excuse me. So, and life is the same way. You know, do your research. Don't be in a hurry. Just don't make snap decisions, because it's going to end up costing you a lot of money. With contractors, with Volkswagen mechanics, with Volkswagen parts, and with life in general. Slow down a little bit. Take your time. Do your research. Just don't go in panic mode. I got to do this now. The world's coming to an end. Don't panic, because if you take your time, you're gonna save yourself a lot of heartache and a lot of money. How do I know this? Earlier in the video, I said I was old. I have made a lot of mistakes. I have made a lot of mistakes in Volkswagen. I have made a lot of mistakes in life. Trust me, it's expensive. It causes you a lot of heartache. It cost me a wife, a very good wife, a good woman. Thankfully, she married me again. Imagine that. So, the thing I learned about that is don't be a chucklehead. So, so anyway, I don't know everything. I learn all the time. But I'm here to offer some information. And I hope this helps. And so that's how everything, I try to tie everything into everything else. If you look, you can tie anything to everyday things. If I'm teaching stuff out of the Bible, then I relate it to now, and it all relates. So, but you know, those of us who have these channels, and I admit I'm a novice as far as YouTube stuff goes, and we're just here to help people. Don't know everything, don't claim to know everything, but we're here to help. Advice is free, and so. And this lady who was doing this back in the studio apartment thing, whatever you want to call it, flat, but I don't, whatever. Got a living room and kitchen together. It's got a bedroom, a closet, and a bathroom. What more do you need? So, she said, we went in there to eat lunch last week. She said, will you talk to my daughter? She's freaking out. I said, tell her to come over here. She came over here. I said, look, relax. Everything's okay. We're going to fix your digs, and you're going to be fine. The difficult we can do right away. The impossible just takes a little longer. She said, oh, I'm not worried. And I knew she was worried. And she went over there today to get paid for what we did today. Had some lunch. Had a great steak sandwich. It was awesome. And but anyway, she came over. She said, y'all are my heroes. Thank you so much. And we told her we was going to get it fixed and be safe. So that way she wouldn't need a straightened out clothes hanger and a bag of marshmallows. So this thing didn't even have smoke detectors in it. I don't need it. Two, one inside the bedroom, one outside the bedroom. Only one bedroom. So, with the name of my company, we at Born to Be Wired, we'll fix up what others mess up. So, and contractors do it. You can find a Volkswagen mechanic. I mean, I work on my friends' Volkswagens, dune buggies, rail buggies, cars, what have you. And some people say don't get dual carburetors; they're a pain in the butt. If you want something, get a single 2-barrel. If you know how to set them up, or you know somebody who does know how to set them up properly, you don't have any problem. And as far as life, if you're young, talk to old people. They've been there, done that. They've made some of the mistakes. Maybe you won't have to. See, that's part of being a parent. That's why I tell my kids, they need to listen to us. We're old, but we know stuff. So, my parents have passed away. And, when I was younger, my parents tried to tell me stuff. I said, yeah, whatever. When I'm older, I'm like, hey, they might have been on to something. They were on to something. I tell my daughters the same thing. So, if you're young or if you're old, if your parents are still alive, listen to them. They're not peeing on your leg and telling you it's raining. Don't say, oh, like my girls. They said, yeah, you don't know nothing. I know everything. I said, you know what? I used to tell them this all the time. I was young once. I was not born fully grown. I grew up. I made mistakes. I learned from my mistakes. Hey, don't do that. So, those of you who have watched this, thank you for bearing with me because this thing is 34 minutes and 20 some odd seconds long. I do apologize, but I hope that this has helped you. I'm going to see if I can edit this thing before I upload it. I don't know nothing about how to do all this stuff. I'm technologically challenged. But anywho, hope everybody enjoys the rest of the weekend. And remember, it takes a lot more to be ugly to somebody than it does to be kind. With that being said, good evening. Well, my remote's not working.